Welcome back to Property Play. I'm your host, Elena Saradidis, and today I have one of our office managers here with me, Lisa Andrews.
Okay, sorry to interrupt, but where do I look?
Anywhere, they'll all catch you.
Okay.
I think what we should start with is kind of give us your background on how you ended up being a manager at Royal LePage. Like, how did you get into real estate?
For sure. So I got into real estate by dropping out of university. I went to York on full scholarship and I wanted to go to law school, but my scholarship was for my undergrad and I knew I needed cash in order to keep going. So my parents were moving at the time and hired an amazing agent. And I met her and sort of went, like maybe this is what I want to be when I grow up instead of a lawyer. So much to my parents' horror, I dropped out of university, got my real estate license, called their realtor to say, "Do you remember me? Like your client's child?" And she was like, "Yeah, of course." And I was like, "Great, I'm a realtor now. What do I do?" And I was 21 at the time. So she introduced me to a team in the East End and they hired me on the spot and it was amazing. So worked with them for 7 or 8 years, ended up very quickly becoming their sales manager and I'm bossy. So we were number one for units sold in Toronto. We sold a lot of houses, a lot of condos, and it was an all-female team similar to yours. So it was a lot of fun. We vacationed together. They were the best. It was the best time. And then eventually got to the point where financially it made more sense for me to be solo. And they were working 7 days a week, 16, 18-hour days, which I enjoyed at the time, but I knew that I wanted to meet someone, get married, have kids, and that working 7 days a week, 18 hours a day wasn't fully aligned with that. So, yeah, so I went solo, worked by referral only, and then met my husband, had a couple of kids, and I have an extreme amount of respect for women who are successful in this business with children. I couldn't hack it. Like, I was like, how does one do all of these things? So once I had my kids, I really wanted to move into more of a 9 to 5 style role and discovered that if agents call you at 8 p.m. with a question and your children are screaming in the background, they are just so grateful for the help and advice. Whereas when that happened with clients, I was mortified. Like I just couldn't, I was too uptight to have the screaming in the background. So it's been a really good transition. So I've been on the leadership side for, I guess, almost 10 years now. And I actually joined Royal LePage Signature to go back into sales. So I was like, my kids are almost 8 and 10. It's time. Now that they're older, I can juggle this better and find more balance with it. And then I met Chris Slightum and he was like, "We need a manager downtown. Would you consider this?" And we got into conversation and I'm so glad that I ended up staying on the management side of things because it's been amazing. And
I was
it's,
about to be like, I'm like, you heard it here first. I was like, wait, what?
yeah. Well, and I knew because I spent a few years recruiting for Keller Williams and in that process, I would meet with people and they'd be like, "We love you. Like, we want to work with you, but Royal LePage Signature has better services, better support, better splits." And I was like, "Oh, this is heartbreaking." And I'd likewise have agents leave me and be like, "Sorry, Lisa, we're going to Royal LePage Signature." And I'd find myself heartbroken. But when it came time for me to go back into sales, I was
You were like, I got to go talk to Signature.
yeah, because any agent who left or any agent who rejected me was going to Signature. I was like, okay, like something must be happening that's good over there. And it's been better than I imagined. So it's great.
Okay, you started real estate really young.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about your own personal property portfolio? Like,
Yeah.
how did you trade up? Like, what does it kind of look like now? You can tell me, it's too personal.
No, I'm an open book about it all. It's just comical. I don't want to call it embarrassing in hindsight because I'm not embarrassed by any of it. But when I look back, it was all a little bit crazy. So my mom's mom passed away. So my grandmother passed and she left each grandchild $10,000. But in her will, it stipulated that we had to use the $10 towards real estate. We weren't allowed to just blow it. We weren't allowed to buy a car. We had to invest in real estate. And I ended up buying a pre-con loft from Brad Lamb on Carlaw. So
Oh my God,
233
this is why I
Carlaw.
laugh.
Yeah, 100%. And I remember standing on the roof with one of his sales reps and he was like, "Oh yeah, you're going to have a great clear view over the
remember
building
who it
next
was?
door." I'm not naming names because I'm about to throw him under the bus.
When the cameras are off, I expect a name.
No problem.
Okay.
So we're standing on the roof and he's telling me this beautiful view that I'm going to have overlooking Riverdale. Needless to say, when it was built, I was staring directly into an architecture firm and had a very terrible view. It didn't matter. It went up in value. It was fine. But that was my first experience with pre-construction. And I remember my dad being from Toronto. This was before Leslieville had gentrified. And my dad being from Toronto was like, that's a terrible area. Like there's crack, there are hookers, like you can't live there. And he was terrified. I was like, Dad, it's going to be fine. I moved out of home. I ended up renting an apartment in the Beaches while I was waiting for this loft to be built. And Brad took his sweet time, which was very beneficial for me financially. But I was ready to own my own place and keep things moving. I ended up buying a house in the Beaches, a little detached house that I renovated and ended up selling a few years later for a profit. And my parents, again, were horrified. So they walked into the house. It was original 1926 condition, had an oil tank, had been treated for termites.
Can I ask, did you buy it before the condo was completed?
Yep.
Okay, we have a very similar story. Do you know this? Do you know this about us?
No.
No, your whole entire story is like resonating. Okay, so you bought this house, you flipped the house.
Bought the house, renovated it on credit cards. And my parents were like, our baby bought a hole. Like, what were you thinking? They were terrified. And then I can't remember the timeline of it all because it's a long time ago and I bought too many properties. I ended up during the recession at an agent open house. I was in a triplex on Hastings, also in Leslieville. And I was like, oh, this is a good deal. So I bought it within an hour of the agent open house. The listing agent thought I was insane. I bought it firm, had the check, no home inspection, no financing, just did it. So I ended up selling the house in order to finance that move. And my sister and I actually lived in the top floor there. I discovered that I didn't like living with other people. So the house had a hot tub. It was a triplex. And I remember finding my main floor tenant in the hot tub at 2 a.m. And I was like, I'm not cut out for this. Like, I can't do it. So I sold it after 8 months. I painted it, made a few repairs, and essentially flipped it for a profit. And just kept buying and selling houses. So I moved 11 times in 14 years. I bought a property at Vic Park and Kingston Road at a party. A friend of mine was like, oh, by the way, I'm selling my house. And I was like, great, I'll buy it. So a million impulsive real estate decisions
Led
me here. And now my poor husband, we had been dating for about 6 months and he was up at Young and Shepherd, took some time off work to go arrange for us to have life insurance because I wanted a baby. And while he was getting us life insurance, I went to an agent open house around the corner from my parents and I called him and I was like, honey, do you mind if I forge your signature on some documents so that we can buy a house? I don't care if this airs.
I was like, Lisa, we're on camera.
It's fine. We closed a long time ago. We're still living there. It's all good. And he was like, okay. So we bought the house that we're in and it was a reno project and we hadn't been house hunting. So he thought that I had lost my mind. And then a few months after that, I found a triplex for sale on Kijiji in the Beaches, and it was being sold by a realtor who I knew. And I said, hey, like, what are you doing? Why are you selling this? And she sold that to us privately. And then during the pre-con craze, we bought 3 condos at the peak of the market. So we've just
As
closed
most
on
did.
right? So we've just closed on our 3rd and final pre-con. So we've got 7 doors. And we're tired and we're pausing for a while. Yeah.
I really should have asked you more questions.
Yeah. That's
Can I ask, is it your husband that's pausing you or is it you that's paused you?
Oh, the bank has paused us. I remember like we got an approval from TD and we got an approval from RBC for our most recent condo that we closed on. And I just remember saying to my husband, like, is someone actually going to loan us more money? Like we have so many properties and when we look at our income in comparison to the amount of debt we've taken on, I don't understand why they keep loaning us money. But no, I'm tired from the financial stress, Elena. I'm going to take a little pause. I'm going to take a little break. I'll get the itch in another year or 2, as will my husband, no doubt. But no, we're pausing for now.
So I can't get rid of that Like
The itch?
I
Yeah.
fall in love with every listing I have. Like the longer I sit there,
Yeah.
the more I'm like, I could live here. Even if it's an area I would never live in, I'm
Yeah.
like, I would totally live here. I could do this, I could do that. Maybe I should
100%.
just buy it. I brought Dan to one of the listings I have 3 times.
Yeah.
Because it was in my neighborhood.
Why didn't
And
you
I'm
forge
like,
his signature on the documents?
because he would murder me. Murder. It's not even like I couldn't go home if I did that.
Fair.
So I literally walked him in the house. I was like, leisure walk after work. Like, let's go for a little walk. Oh, we're just going to go turn off the lights. Let's go look into the property.
Yeah.
Do you like it? I like it. And he was like, great. We will not be buying this house. And I'm like, but it is a really good house. Like someone's going to like, and they want to sell it to me
Yeah.
because they know how much I love it. And he's like, yeah, sounds great. You want to buy it? Sell one of our other properties and then you can buy it.
That's really mean of him.
I know.
Let you do it.
He's going to hear this and be like, no more being friends with Lisa and forge a signature. That's what we got out of all this today. Please don't do that.
Sorry, Dan.
But yeah, no, we're tapped out too, in the sense that Dan won't let me buy anymore.
Yeah.
So I you know how people like live through other people's experiences? I get really excited
Yeah.
when my clients are getting really good deals because I feel like I'm getting the deal. So like
Gotta live vicariously through them.
often when we're like doing showings, I'm like, yeah, we're getting this. Or like, we're not getting this. And they're like, what do you mean we? And I'm like, I come with the house. Like, we're in this together.
But that's the beauty of the industry, right? And it's, hopefully we won't be tapped out for long and then we can go on another real estate adventure. Because I get the itch to renovate too.
Yeah.
But my kids are about to turn 9 and 11 and I'm not sure. They've never been through a reno. I was pregnant when we did 2 renos and yeah, they'll go through one eventually because it'll happen. We're actually talking about buying in Riverdale once the kids are ready to go to high school. So we might make a move in 2 more years and
So
make my dreams
you heard
come
it
true.
here first. If you have a listing in Riverdale, just start sending it to Lisa because she might spontaneously buy your house.
It's true. It's true.
Okay, you said you bought pre-construction. You've clearly bought resale. Where's the future?
I believe in Toronto and I don't think it matters what people buy. I think that as long as they're putting 20-25% down and holding it for the long term, I don't think the details matter that much. If I look at what I've bought and sort of what I've made the most money on versus the least money, I think multifamily is always a really wise decision. But why are you laughing?
Because we clearly don't talk enough. That's like all my portfolio. And I've bought pre-con too. We don't talk enough. We're going to have to schedule one-on-ones. This is going to be a thing. No, we don't talk enough. I've been yelling it from the mountaintops, like the best investments out there are multiplexes
100%.
and like house hacking. So like, I didn't know you lived with your sister and access to the hot tub. I'm literally dying.
Yeah,
I live in
we had no monthly bills. The main floor and the basement rents completely covered all of the bills. We lived there for free. And yet my real estate addiction got the best of me because I only lasted 8 months and had to do it all over again and needed the cash from that to do it.
You know, you could have just got rid of the hot tub.
I know. And the tenant.
Yeah.
I know. Hindsight's 2020.
Like, it's okay. You made money. It's fine.
My prefrontal cortex wasn't fully developed at the time.
No, you were like, my tenant is in my hot tub.
Yeah. And I didn't mind my tenant being in my hot tub. I just didn't want my tenant in my hot tub at 2 a.m. smoking and playing tunes. It was a bit much for me.
I think that would have been a bit much for everyone. I'm glad to report I've never seen a tenant do that at one of my houses. Yeah, no. I think it's because there's no
not to have hot tubs.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that's why. I think because there's no hot tub.
Yeah.
So note to self: do not install a hot tub.
No, bad plan. I have a hot tub again, but thankfully no tenants now.
Oh my God. Dan actually talked about it with me the other day because I have a multiplex and we also have the place next to it.
Yeah.
Which is also a multi. And when I like put people in this time around, I was kind of just like, everybody's chill. Everybody likes each other.
Yep.
Like, you want a barbecue? Go put a barbecue. I don't care.
Yeah.
Just like keep to your self and be nice to everyone. Did I tell Dan that I said that to everyone? No. So I get a call and he's like, Elena, did you know they put a barbecue outside? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, are you sure? Like, I thought only the main floor got access to the backyard. I'm like, no. It's communal now. They can all share.
Yeah. Who cares? Enjoy yourselves.
Hey, listen, as long as rent is being paid on time,
Yeah,
I'm fine with it.
100%.
If you had the opportunity again, crystal ball moment.
Yeah.
Like, you know how they're like, if you knew then, would you do would you do it all over again?
Well, I'd do it all over again. I would definitely try to find a way to hold the triplex in Leslieville. I think that, I mean, I was young and single in my 20s. Like, I couldn't qualify to own a bunch of properties, but I feel like had I worked with a good mortgage broker and really been creative about things, I did a lot of buying and selling. And my only regrets are the homes that I sold. I also now understand why people buy big houses. So I remember thinking, like, why would anyone buy a mansion? Why would anyone have an expensive house? And now I fully have my head wrapped around capital gains tax and knowing that you're actually better off buying a big house for yourself and knowing that when you move, you gain that equity without having to give a piece of it to the CRA. So that's another thing that no regrets, wouldn't change anything, but that I have my head more wrapped around now than before. So part of me, if we move to Riverdale, we might sell an income property or two and buy a larger home in order to take advantage of that.
Just because I don't want to call it dumb it down, but I'm going to dumb it down.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you this question because people that are listening are going to want to know.
Yeah.
Why would you sell the income producing properties to buy your principal residence? Like, why would that be what you're selling? And why would you choose to do that over just buy it with a mortgage?
So I think for me, it's wondering whether or not, and I mean, I had this paranoia before closing on our last property and it wasn't an issue. For me, I'm like, will people loan us money in 2 years? Will we get another mortgage? Will anyone give us another mortgage? And it could be that when the time comes, we won't sell anything. Mine and my husband's approach to the income properties that we have is when a tenant leaves, we are going to evaluate whether or not we should hold it. So one of our condos is losing us $2,000 a month. I don't know that it makes sense to keep something that's losing $2,000 per month long term. So we might sell it, be able to take the cash that we put into that and walk away and put it into our primary residence. So we're going to play it by ear. But I also believe in keeping negative cash flow properties. I don't think that negative cash flow is the end of the world because when you look at the mortgage pay down, and ideally in Toronto, knock on wood that we start seeing properties going up between the capital appreciation of the value going up and a tenant paying down the mortgage, even if they're not cash flowing, I'm not averse to keeping them, but we'll see when the time comes what makes most sense financially.
Okay.
Did that make sense?
That kind of makes sense, but we're going to do, I forgot how to speak for a moment there. We're going to do a deep dive in what you're talking about in part 2. If you like content like this, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe. This was Property Play.